Hello, everyone. Welcome to the News Browse News broadcast. NHK reports that U.S. President Donald Trump indicated on Tuesday that talks between the United States and Iran could restart in the next 2 days. Multiple media outlets suggest negotiators are preparing for another round of discussions in Pakistan, proposed by Pakistani officials before the current ceasefire between the two sides expires next week. Trump confirmed he would not take part in these talks and did not name the U.S. representatives. During previous talks last weekend, the New York Times reported that U.S. negotiators proposed a 20-year suspension of Iran's nuclear activities, while Iran countered with an offer for up to a 5-year suspension. Simultaneously, the U.S. is maintaining pressure on Iran through a naval blockade on its ports. The U.S. Central Command stated on Tuesday that during the initial 24 hours of the blockade, no ships made it past, and 6 merchant vessels were ordered to return to an Iranian port. This mission involves over 10,000 service members, more than a dozen warships, and over 100 fighter and surveillance aircraft. Al Jazeera reports that Israeli and Lebanese officials held their first direct negotiations since 1983 in Washington, D.C. on Tuesday. Hosted by U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, these rare talks occurred amid Israel's ongoing military campaign against Hezbollah in Lebanon. Both sides entered with differing priorities. Israel sought to disarm Hezbollah, ruling out a ceasefire discussion with Lebanon, while Lebanon called for an end to the conflict, the return of displaced people, and humanitarian relief. Despite these differences, both ambassadors offered positive remarks post-meeting. Lebanon's ambassador, Nada Hamadeh Moawad, described talks as constructive, while Israel's ambassador Yochai Leiter called them a wonderful exchange, emphasizing a push to remove Hezbollah from Lebanon. However, Hezbollah, not present at the talks, reportedly intensified attacks on northern Israel. The discussions unfolded at a sensitive moment in the broader U.S.-Israel war against Iran, with Tehran warning that continued attacks in Lebanon could jeopardize the week-old ceasefire with Iran. 联合早报 reports that European nations, primarily led by the United Kingdom and France, are actively developing a plan to establish a broad coalition aimed at ensuring free and safe navigation through the Strait of Hormuz. This initiative, however, is contingent on the conclusion of a potential U.S.-Israel-Iran war and notably seeks to exclude American involvement. French President Macron emphasized that the mission is designed as an international defense task, explicitly excluding belligerent parties such as the U.S., Israel, and Iran, and European vessels would operate independently of U.S. command. The core objective is to rebuild confidence among shipping companies for using the vital strait once hostilities cease. Germany, despite its historical reluctance to engage in overseas military operations, is considering participation, which would significantly bolster the plan's substance due to its financial and military capabilities. European diplomats acknowledge internal divisions, with French officials believing U.S. participation would reduce Iranian acceptance, while British counterparts worry about potentially alienating President Trump. This debate underscores the escalating transatlantic tensions, intensified by the perceived illegality and economic repercussions of an Iran war by many European leaders. Macron and UK Prime Minister Starmer are scheduled to co-host an online meeting on April 17th to discuss According to Zio Sabah, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy in an interview with German television, expressed concern that the United States is currently preoccupied with the Iran war and has no time to attend to Ukraine. This distraction has led to a stagnation of peace talks and critical interruptions in U.S. weapon deliveries. Zelenskyy specifically mentioned Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner, who previously helped mediate talks between Kyiv and Moscow to end the Russia-Ukraine war, are now constantly negotiating with Iran. He described them as pragmatists attempting to secure more attention from Russian President Vladimir Putin to cease hostilities. Zelenskyy warned that if the U.S. fails to exert pressure on Putin and opts for only gentle dialogues with Russia, they will become fearless. The Russia-Ukraine conflict, Europe's deadliest since World War II, has seen its U.S.-led peace negotiations stall since the Iran war began on February 28, with no meetings since Geneva in February. The issue of weapon deliveries, particularly air defense systems, has become a major problem. Zelenskyy added, stating that if the war continues, Ukraine will receive fewer weapons. According to Valuation, OpenAI's $852 billion valuation is facing increasing scrutiny from investors due to its strategic shift towards the enterprise AI market. This pivot comes amid heightened competition, particularly from Anthropic, whose annualized revenue, driven by programming tools, has surged past OpenAI's in certain areas. Some investors criticize OpenAI's perceived lack of focus, questioning the emphasis on enterprise tools when its consumer-facing ChatGPT boasts 1 billion users and strong growth. They express concern about double pressure from rivals like Anthropic and Google, with one investor calling the company severely unfocused. Despite the skepticism, OpenAI's management remains confident, citing past successful strategic transformations. The company plans to nearly double its workforce to 8,000 by year-end and aims for its enterprise business to contribute 50% of revenue. A core advantage is OpenAI's aggressive investment in computing power, having secured 8 gigawatts and planning for 30 gigawatts by 2030, far exceeding Anthropic's projected capacity. While some critics liken OpenAI to the Netscape of the AI era, CFO Sarah Fryer maintains strong investor support, citing an oversubscribed record-breaking funding round as proof of confidence in their strategic direction and long-term value. That's all for this video. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.